All right, guys, thank you for joining me. Appreciate it as always. Loretta, thank you for the 5x5, though I didn't even say anything yet. I appreciate it. Right. Sometimes it forces me to reboot. All right. So, Eric, Jason, thank you for the 5x5. Bajar, Mitch, Sarita, thank you for the 5x5. Again, guys, appreciate it as always. Renee, Whistling, Ken, thank you for the 5x5. Kathy, Ectate, thank you for the 5x5. Tristan, thank you for the 5x5. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Krista, Bucky, Cher, Bajar, Vegan, thank you for the 5x5. Thank you. All right. So that's pretty much everybody. Wow, that jumped. Don't call me sir. Thank you for the 5x5. All right, guys. So let's get into today's. What am I looking at here? Okay. Let's get into today's nonsense, if you will. There's always some bullshit going on. And so I am asking this question not to break Trump's balls, which, apparently I like doing these days because, who he is. And the amount of nonsense that he's allowing to happen, right? So I just finished watching a short video on Andrew Tate, I think it is. And he was pretty much saying that the political system is toast, right? That we need to give up on this current political system, which I agree. Which had me come up with another plan on how to attack this current problem we have of the elites being allowed to do what they do and no repercussions. So I think starting another party is the only answer. And starting a party with somebody who's not going to be tainted, someone who's not going to be corrupt, I think that is the option to go before we go to the last option, which is all-out war. The Epstein file, guys, and what's going on with it is just, it's an atrocity. It's an atrocity that we are allowing for these files to be circulated and everybody pretty much shrugging their shoulders. We had a large portion of Americans watch the Super Bowl, and for what reason? I don't understand, guys, why anyone's watching the Super Bowl at this point. First of all, the NFL is corrupt as can be. We watch football players make millions while we continue to get taxed out of the ass. People are paying, what was it, $2,000 to $3,000, maybe $4,000 for nosebleed tickets to the Super Bowl to watch some monkeys run around throwing a ball at each other. We continue to flourish the pockets of the rich, of the elites. This is how we take a stand, right? We take a stand by hitting them in the pockets at all levels. You don't think that these people don't have their hand in every pot in the world? So if we start boycotting a lot of these events, a lot of these businesses, they're going to feel it and they're going to listen, right? The equivalent of throwing tea into somebody's river or bay, if you will, that should be the option before we go to all-out war. They, guys, have been exposed on multiple levels. McAfee, right before he passed away, right before he committed suicide, he exposed a lot of shit, right? And so we still sit here and we still watch the Super Bowl. It's mind-boggling. We still shop. Like, we should pick a day where we don't shop on Amazon. In fact, we log out on Amazon just so that they get, because they notice all of that. They notice when you logged in, how long you logged in for. They notice when you're shopping or browsing, excuse me, because whenever we browse, they know. So we all picked a day and decided, like, let's say next year, no Super Bowl, no Amazon. And you don't shop for the, 7 days, whatever it is, leading up to Super Bowl. And then you boycott Super Bowl altogether. That's how we hit them in the pocket. And you're always going to have somebody like, that's my form of entertainment. Watching fucking millionaires run around the field while we pay more taxes. Well, every time they get a stadium built, they fix that or they bake it, into our taxes some way, shape, or form. That's local taxes, that is, right? They bake it into it, and then we sit there and we can't afford a lot of those tickets. $3,000 for nosebleed seats. This is how. This is one way, and again, the last resort is all-out war, right? And I watched 5 minutes of the Super Bowl. Is that what you wrote of the game? 5 minutes of the halftime. And listen, I didn't even watch TPUSA. I mean, like the lesser of two evils is not watching any of it at all. Read a book, play a game, watch a movie, do something. You know, there's no reason for us to be watching the Super Bowl and flourishing the pockets of those people who are all part of the goddamn system. They're all part of this system. These fucking elites, guys, the Jeffrey Epstein, first of all, isn't the only Jeffrey Epstein out there. There are thousands, if not tens of thousands of Jeffrey Epsteins out there. He was just the one that got caught. He was just the one that was put on everybody's radar. But he was not the one. He was not the only one in this game. And the more guys we start to understand and realize this, the better we can focus our energy on fucking these people's pockets, because they're all involved. Twitter, TikTok, what's it, Larry Elliston, whatever he bought, shut your accounts down. Right? I mean, listen, I'm on the edge with Instagram as it is. Right? I don't have TikTok, so I'm not worried about it. But as soon, guys, as they buy all of it, we have to come offline. The only place for us left would be YouTube and Rumble and BitChute, and even then. And I get that sticking on to get our point across is one mission. Yes, coffee first. Brewster's Million. None of the above. And yet he still won, right? So, and that backfired anyway, because the runner-up won, became mayor, right? So anyway, all that to say, guys, is there are other options we can absolutely entertain. Period. It's whether or not we're going to get on board. You know, I mean, could we go down to DC and just start being disorderly? We could. We can absolutely do that. If I rallied something like that together, I think maybe 100 people would show up. You know, and that's discouraging to a lot of people. But something else has to be done. These people that are in power are they're doing too much. And then they're exposing it. They're exposing it, and then we're just shrugging our shoulders. We got to do something. We got to put in the work somewhere. We can't just sit here. And I think boycotting the Super Bowl and boycotting Amazon leading up to the Super Bowl would absolutely start getting some attention, at the very least. We also got to bombard these politicians with emails and letters, or start throwing shit on their doorstep. I think that'll get their attention, right? Because they're not paying attention to us. They keep raising taxes. We keep saying no. Why would you do this? Congestion pricing. We should have been at Kathy Hochul's home, lathering her home with shit, lathering it up. We should have been there, right? But instead we go, oh well. She allowed this to happen. We should have been at the MTA's, the CEO of MTA, or the lead guy at MTA, the president, whatever he is. We should have been at his home, lathering his home with shit. You know, I mean, we should have been doing these things. These are harmless, but they will remember it for the rest of their lives, right? And then, if they don't listen, then we go the other route. But up until that, we should be throwing garbage and shit on these people's lawns. Just to show them that we're, one, displeased with their shit, and one, tell them that it will get worse if they don't listen. He goes, you have to take care of your own family. Still questioning, what family are you going to have to take care of once they tax you out of existence and they have you in a shelter? That is not taking care of your family. Taking care of your family is looking ahead in the future and figuring out what they're doing. And what they're doing is they're going to wind up putting us all in some kind of giant city building, a mega one, whatever the hell it's called, and that's going to be our place. They're going to slowly start placing us where they want. That's what taking care of your city is. Taking care of your family. Taking care of your family is looking at the future and lining it up. We all line out. We try our best to take care of our families with future endeavors by making sure that our pensions or whatever it is squared away, making sure we got something to give our kids if we have that to give away. That's how you take care of your family. Taking care of your family, guys, is not fucking going, well, we got to stay home. And that's not the answer. That isn't. Separation's not the answer because they've been leeching into that as well. I had to turn my internet off because it's already telling me. Every time I start talking like this, my stream gets, my quality of stream gets low, or whatever the hell that means. Joseph says, unfortunately, you can't hurt the bank accounts of these in charge. They own everything. That is why I said you start boycotting certain elements. That's gonna hurt their bank account. It's gonna hurt them in the long run. I mean, again, guys, you know that when the Boston Tea Party, before that went down, there were people that were absolutely being like, oh, there's no way that they're going to listen to us. There's no way. And guess what happened? They fucking did, because we put in the work. Don't call me sir. I didn't talk about the Ring camera commercial, but I will now that you brought it up. So, Ring has I'm doing a video on this, so I guess I'd rather you guys watch the video. But just know, guys, that Ring is doing something you are not going to like. And look up Ring camera search party. Look that up, and then it dives deeper. Actually, my video, I dive deeper into it. So let me tell you the top level or the froth of the Ring camera. So Ring camera has a new feature, I guess, called Search Party. And this is for dogs or animals that go missing. Now, it dives deeper into that, and I'll get into it in my video later this week, I think Friday. I'll get into it later this week, but it's very bad because now they are watching your every step. And with this Nancy Guthrie, Savannah's mother missing, they've been using all of the Ring cameras in the area to see what they can find. Granted, guys, they're going to try to sell you the safety side of it. Oh, if a kid goes missing, we can use the Ring cameras to see where they went. If somebody abducted this kid, we can see where they went via the Ring cameras. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Search party for their victims. A search party for everyone else who's not. And there's something else they do that you need to be aware of. Again, watch the video. You're not going to like where this is going. And granted, somebody like, yeah, but if I find a missing kid, they haven't found, I mean, they've been using Ring cams to find missing kids for a while. And what happens with the search party, if I'm not mistaken, I think the camera stays on during the entire event. Yes, they're surveillancing more than, and then your premium is going to go up because they're using more screen time, if you will, and they're recording more, and they're taking that recording and putting it into a database, and you got to pay the taxes on that database, right? And you pay that taxes by way of upping your premium, whatever it is. I'm not sure how the payment plan is, but yeah, Ring is not something. By the end of the year, if not next year, Ring is going to be buying up a lot of the smaller security camera, doorbell security cameras. Still questioning. Yeah, the other thing about the whole missing kid shit, I'm like, the elites are transporting kids left and right. Right? Matter of fact, that school picture company, right? What is it? I forgot what it's called. Life Force or Life something or another. Supposedly they were in the Epstein files, and that's how the elites pick who they want. Now, in the movie Salo, they had police that would go around looking for kids throughout the year. Like for the next event they had each year, they would have cops going through the neighborhood looking for kids that were desirable. You're not gonna like where this is going. Life Touch. And granted, somebody like, yeah, but if I find a missing kid, that's interesting. I mean, they've been using Ring cams to find missing kids for a while. And what happens with the search party, if I'm not mistaken, I think the other thing about the whole missing kids is like All right, that's a glitch for some of you guys because I still hear myself on my iPad and my cell phone. So that might be a glitch on your side. Sorry. There are people saying 5x5. There are people saying they can't hear me. But yeah, 5x5, Big Brother. Apparently, reboot your screens. Security camera, doorbell security cameras. All right. Right. I guess so. Matter of fact, that it's wild. Every time I start talking about this shit, I start having problems. It is not a coincidence, not at all. I thought maybe it was a thing, but not at all. Every time I do this shit, every time I talk about this shit, I have audio problems or it starts glitching. They have police that would go around looking for kids throughout the year for the next. Not at all. I thought maybe it was a thing, but not at all. Every time I do this shit, every time I talk about it. Anyway, all right. So the police were going around in Salo looking for desirable kids to diddle, and then they did that every year, and then they had their event. I think it was at the beginning of the year or some shit like that. Whatever. Anyway, now they have this whole camera company that's searching out kids, and that's how they're finding a lot of these kids. At least that's the theory. The problem is how many of these kids actually went missing. That's where we got to find the information from. Anyway, now they have this whole camera company. That's bizarre. Now I'm running into problems on. Now I'm running into problems on Rumble too. Interesting. Anyway, guys, so let's get into the nonsense before they completely take me off the air. Yeah, my second hand, excuse me. Yes, they've been around for a long time, and apparently they never delete the photos. That's the other shit. Which I'm also, the other side of that coin is they could be taking those pictures and putting them into AI so that AI can learn more about human facial expressions and things like that. Because supposedly there was a company looking to use AI so that, like videos, for example, they can better learn human interaction and human expressions. That could be it. I mean, listen, they're trying to, show who's boss, but I'm still on. So until they kill the stream, this is where it is. All right. Anyway, guys, let's get on with the midweek report. Sorry about that. Person detained for questioning in disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. A person has been detained for questioning in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, according to sources familiar with the investigation. They had a few people yesterday. As of yesterday, they had a few people they brought in for questioning. So let's see where that's going to go. New York City Mayor Mamdani blasted over cold weather deaths as New York City announces 7 additional people. I think we're up to like 20-something deaths now. Because, listen, not for nothing. These fucking idiots, the homeless, they know that they could have gone somewhere warm. The fact that they didn't, it's on them. I'm not trying to be heartless, but you can't feel bad for people that know that there are other options. All right, and that's the bottom line. There are so many places you can go. I mean, granted, there should have been some. What the hell's it called? Like an outreach program. Normally, they have an outreach program for this cold. And they go out there and they entice these people to go in and they throw like meals and warm clothing at them and they get them to go in. But nonetheless, right now 7 new deaths occurred at private residence. Coming on top of the 18 New Yorkers found dead outside since the city's brutal streak of Code Blue nights began. I never knew there was a Code Blue, whatever. The specific circumstances of these 7 deaths were not immediately available, though the mayor office confirmed that hypothermia was determined to be the cause of death for all of them. Now, again, 7 new deaths occurred at private residence. That means they were inside, meaning there was no heat. That's a different problem altogether, right? But whatever. LGBT pride flag removed from NYC Stonewall National Monument after Trump administration directive. A rainbow pride flag has been removed from Stonewall National Monument in Greenwich Village because of a directive from Trump administration outraging the gay people who are now swinging dildos and condoms filled with stuff. I think that's what it said. No, anyway, just kidding. Of course, the gay community is pissed off about it. Which, listen, I don't have, at this point, I don't have a problem with it. Because you guys, the gay community, wanted to inundate the world with their bullshit flags. Now that somebody's taking it down off one of their monuments, all of a sudden it's a problem, right? So, and again, if it's a national monument, such is life. You know, no one told you to make such a fucking horrific. Listen, Stonewall was a petri dish for HIV. I'll be the first to say it. That place had some savagery going on in there. And I remember speaking to a couple cops who went in there a couple times because there was like disturbances, whatever bullshit they were using to go in there. And they said that there was all kinds of shit going in there, on in there. So to memorialize a place that helped spread a disease around the country is wild. But nobody wants to say that shit, right? Everybody wants to fucking sit there and be like, oh, they were pioneers. Yeah, spreading some fucking disease that didn't need to be spread, that could have easily been fucking stopped or slowed down had the gay community, men specifically, stopped their bullshit for a little bit, or wore condoms. That were the 2 options, but they didn't want to do that, right? So now they got a monument at that place, and Trump wants the flags down. Now, apparently following the orders from January 21st memo, the U.S. Department of Interior, the large pride flag was removed from the monument in Christopher Park near Stonewall Inn over the weekend, according to local elected officials. Now listen, there are other things to be griping about at this point. Way other things to be griping about. Griping about a flag being removed from a monument? Gay. Anyway. Roof New Yorkers, I guess. But it reopened. Weird, right? Yes, Carol, the airspace over, it was supposed to be shut down for 10 days, and then they just reopened it. I want to know, I had the article pulled up and I didn't save it, but I want to know what kind of bullshit they were going to tell us. Why would airspace in El Paso be closed down for 10 days, and then, 2 days later or a day later, they go, oh, we opened it up again. Something over the skies or something over El Paso was going on. Are we going to know? Right? I don't know. Anyway. All right. So moving right along. OnlyFans alumni Bonnie Blue. For those that don't know who Bonnie Blue is, Bonnie Blue slept with over 1,000 guys in a 12-hour period with no condom. After she was done with that event, she had to go to the hospital because she was hospitalized because her vagina was undoubtedly raw. She should have took that from a lady who, Asian lady, if I think she slept with 300 guys or something like that, like a 300 guy gangbang or some shit like that. This was back in the late 90s. So anyway, former OnlyFans star Bonnie Blue went viral for allegedly bedding 1,000 men in just 12 hours. Claims to have broken another world record by having unprotected sex with an estimated 400 men on Saturday as part of a so-called breeding mission. Why am I talking about this? I am talking about this because this is the declination of man, or people, or humans, right? So I'm sorry, her 1,000 man was protected sex. It was 400, excuse me, that were unprotected. And that means they all breed it inside of her, if you know what I mean. Now, why this is such a problem is because assholes like this are allowed to have social media to talk about shit, to inspire maybe more girls to do this. 1,000 men? Listen, there are men out there that have an issue with their girlfriends banging 20 dudes. 20! There are girls who are upwards of 100 or so, and guys, right? 1,000, she's never going to find a love. And not that she's looking for it. But my point to this, guys, is that this is dangerous. Shit like this shouldn't be allowed. And at the very least, if she wants to do it on her own, so be it. But to sit there and record it, bullshit. That's fucking absolute bullshit. Listen, I don't know. Instead of a rain dance, yeah. I mean, this is mankind going down the drain. Humanity was put on this earth for way better reasons than this. And this idiot is doing this shit. Anyway, the 26-year-old adult content creator, real name is Tia Billinger, if I said that right, returned to Lord's Davenport mansion where she hosted last year's viral stunt, saying she beat Ariana Jolie's alleged 2004 record of unprotected sex with 65 men, according to the press release sent to US Weekly. Yep. This is where we are. I mean, listen, I wouldn't even, she was like, hey, I'm Bonnie Blue. Before she could finish, I'd just walk away from that. I wouldn't even talk to a woman like this. There is no reason for this to be a thing. Because you want to break records, stand on your fucking head for however long you can stand on your head for. I don't know what the world record to that is, right? Stand on one leg and read a book for, world record. There's so many other ways you could break records. That's not one of them. Nor should it be glorified as she's doing it. Because she's like bragging about this shit. There is something psychologically wrong with her. And I'll tell you this much. If she was my daughter, I would have disowned her. The people like, you should never disown your kids. There's a lot of reasons why you would disown your kids. This being one of them. Obviously pedophilia and rape is the other two, right? And then this, number 3, Maybe if they ate spam, number 4. And that's it. Now, with the talk of disowning your kids, this next article is going to, I think, blow your minds. Because this happened last year. I thought I remember reading it, but I was going to report it and I completely forgot about it. And then it popped up on my radar today, out of all days. But a Texas dad shot his British daughter after arguing about Trump. This takes disowning your kids to a whole new level, by the way. A British woman was fatally shot by her dad in Texas last year after a big argument about President Trump. Lucy Harrison, 23, was shot dead by her dad, Chris Harris, at his suburban Dallas home January 10th, 2020. Wait a minute. They said this happened last year. Yeah, I'm sorry. We're in 2026. Sorry. At his Dallas home January 10th, 2025. The Sherry Corners Court in England began investigating the shooting after a criminal case was not pursued by the Texas Authority. That's weird. During a hearing on Tuesday, Sam Litter, the victim's boyfriend, said he had traveled with her to Prosper, Texas, to visit Chris and his family. He said that on the morning of the shooting, the father and daughter had an argument about President Trump. Chris and Lucas ended up having quite a big argument, which led to Lucy running upstairs being upset. Later that day, shortly after they were about to head to the airport, Litter said he heard a loud bang come from a bedroom that Chris and Lucy had gone into. I remember running into the room and Lucy was lying on the floor near the entrance of the bedroom, and Chris was just screaming just some sort of nonsense. Chris Harris did not attend the hearing, but wrote a statement to the court claiming he had he had an alcohol relapse on the day of the shooting and drank a bottle of wine. I don't know if wine can get you that twisted, but okay. Especially if you're an alcoholic. But whatever. He added that the TV segment about the gun crime prompted him to show his daughter his handgun, which he had kept at the bedside of the cabinet. As I lifted the gun to show her, it suddenly heard a loud bang. I did not understand what had happened. I immediately fell, and the coroner is expected to deliver his conclusion in the matter on Wednesday. So this guy accidentally shot his daughter, and there was no charges from last year. But now, England is now investigating this. I don't know how that's going to work. I have no clue how it's going to work. But nonetheless, that's one way to permanently disown your daughter. Showing her your gun and you shot her by accident at 40-something years old, I think this guy was, or 50-something years old, this guy was. He knows how to handle his gun. And he shot his daughter by accident after having a big argument over Trump. That is some shady shit right there. Anyway, now, here's another report that I thought was a little odd, and maybe one of you guys can explain it to me like a retarded child. But job reports came in, and they said that the job market went up as 130,000 jobs were added in January. Okay? This is what was a red flag for me. This phrase right here. The delayed report led to some surprising good news. Delayed reports. This guy, once I saw the 130,000 jobs were added in January, I said, bullshit. There's no way that they added 130,000 jobs after Amazon announced another 30,000 job cuts. And a lot of jobs are being cut this year because of AI. The U.S. added 130,000 jobs in January, well above the 65,000 economists expectation. Unemployment ticked down to 4.3 from 4.4. I'm calling bullshit on that. I'm calling the most obvious bullshit on this. Now, last year, by late 2025, over 1.1 million jobs were cut in the United States, making the highest job layoffs since the pandemic, driven by tech, retail, and government sector, with AI and economic shift fueling the trend. Though overall employment still saw some net gains in many months, the sheer volume of job loss was significant, reaching levels not seen since 2020. A major employer reduction staff across various industries, but yet a late or delayed report comes out stating that 130,000 jobs were added. And UPS UPS is cutting 30,000 jobs as well. So something isn't right about this. So supposedly, guys, the El Paso airspace shutdown was connected to the Mexican cartel drones. That's what just came across my screen. I'll look into that a little bit, in a little while, rather, excuse me. But that's what they're stating is why it was shut down for 10 days. Apparently, I guess the cartel are flying drones with, I guess, drugs. I'm only assuming that's what it is. So I ran across this little piece of liberal news against Donald Trump, which I'm going to call bullshit on this one too. But another deadly consequences of Trump's deportation. Apparently, in the nutshell with this article, guys, they're saying that healthcare for the elderly is taking a hit because of the deportation of immigrants, illegal immigrants. And because there's so many illegal immigrants now being deported, there's a gap in elderly care, which is causing elderly people to suffer from depression, having no one to talk to, and having no one to care for them. So they're blaming Trump's deportation on this nonsense. All right. So They start out by saying a new research suggests that they are dead wrong. The paper finds that higher immigration literally saves lives and suggests that, by extension, lower immigration cost of living. The reason is healthcare for the elderly. The paper finds that when a community attracts more immigrants, seniors are less likely to end up in healthcare institutions, ultimately less influx of healthcare workers, both high-skilled doctor, nurses, and so on, and low-skilled migrants, home health aide, nursing home staff. The arrival of those low-skilled workers particularly could be important, researchers who wrote the paper say. When there are more of these care workers around, seniors and people with disabilities are more likely to live at home rather than at an assisted living facility or nursing home or other congregate setting. Now they're trying to sit there and say because Trump is shifting these people away that there's a problem, and there's also a problem with disabled people as well, excuse me. The amount of bullshit on both sides is enough. The left lies so much. The right is joining in on that lie from another angle. The lying is just, and then they don't expect us to see through this bullshit. But you're going to have a liberal read this and go, well, the study says that because there's less migrant, more people are going to assisted living facilities. That's not even fucking close to true. Some people can't even afford these migrants to work in their homes, so they're shifting them out there anyway. People with dementia can be violent, so they're shifting them to these facilities anyway. The amount of lying that's going on is insane. It's through the roof, man. I can't understand. And then they're going to sit there and be like, oh, because of Trump. Again, Obama moved way more migrants than Trump did. Way more. And there was none of these articles being reported. There was no direct effect or indirect effect to the elderly or disabled because so many migrants were being shifted up home. No one said that shit when Obama was doing it. But now Trump's doing it, and now all of a sudden they're like, oh, look what he's doing. Bullshit. Between Bush, Clinton, and Obama, they moved out more fucking migrants than Trump ever will. And nobody ever reported this bullshit. The arrival of low-skilled workers particularly could be important. What kind of bullshit is this? Whatever. Thomas, happy early birthday, I guess. Cannot pay me enough to do in-home care again. Bobby, I hear it could be terrible, man. You know, it could, especially if like the kids are still there, the adult kids are still there, and then they're asking you to do other shit. You know, you can always say no, but then you probably lose your job, which, listen, at that point, it'd be worth it. You know, it'd be worth it. But I've heard that before. I heard that in-home care could be bad. You know, it depends on what level of home care you're doing, right? There's the ultra-rich who they're pretty good with not bossing you around, but then there are other people that will boss you around. You know, and some people are like, I don't want to lose my job. And with migrants, they'll do anything you ask them to do because they don't want to get deported or lose their jobs, right? Anyway, that's about all I have for the news today or reporting of the news. I will see a lot of you guys Friday for the doubleheader. I am working tomorrow up and down. I will see you guys Friday. And if any crazy shit happens Saturday, then I might do a thing on Saturday. I should do the fire thing. I should show you guys. That should take all of like 20 minutes, that live stream. So I might do that this Saturday real quick. Talk about that gas explosion, just so you guys get an idea of what it looked like for those that are still interested. Other than that, guys, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it as always. And yeah, man, stay safe out there. Thank you, Mr. Landfill. Be good, and don't let the bullshit rock you because there's a lot more bullshit coming down the pike. All right, guys? See you later.